Hello, once again. My name is Frank Spivak, and I am glad that you're joining us for this edition of the Strategy, Marketing, and Brand Workshop. This will be a little bit different because this is going to be an interview with a local executive that I know that's had the opportunity to really experience change and be a change management person over the last 20 years. And I think that you'll enjoy this interview. So I am going to switch over and share my screen and get this started. So today, this is an interview with Tracy Gardiner on change. And my name is Frank Spivak. And for more than 30 years, I've helped organizations enhance their image, engage their customers, and enrich their businesses. Over that time, I've been president, chief marketing officer, director, a senior management team member. I'm currently a writer, author, speaker, trainer, coach, and consultant, and a lifelong learner. And I think that's one of the things that you'll learn about today as well with Tracy, and a motorcycle rider and trainer. Now, with that, I am going to start this interview that we recorded earlier in the week. So hello, my name is Frank Spivak, and this is the small, medium business strategy and marketing brand workshop that we do every other week. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different. I've got with me a guest, Tracy Gardiner. Tracy is the Vice President of Business Operations for KSP Fulfillment here in the Twin Cities in Minnesota. And Tracy and I go back a whole bunch of years. Her and her husband have been friends with myself and my wife for a very long time. We've ridden motorcycle journeys all over the country together. And at the same time, we've also enjoyed some great business discussions over that time. Now, Tracy has been, for more than 20 years, been involved with basically process improvement, going back to her days in with Best Buy, and then with Transport America and Walgreens, and most recently with KSP Fulfillment. And it's been something, because of our conversations, that the changes that the organization goes through when you're growing rapidly, especially with the kinds of things that have been happening in society over the last couple of years, can be really difficult. So with that, I'm going to say, Tracy, thank you very much for taking part in this.
You're welcome.
First off, tell us a little bit about KSP Fulfillment. What is it you do, or what does the company do? And then maybe a little bit more about what you do.
Yeah, so KSP Fulfillment is a small business here in Minnesota, and it was started in 2012 by one of my former coworkers at Best Buy. So that's how I know John. And John and I actually did some Lean Six Sigma projects together way back when. And so he started this business, and with COVID, surprisingly, the supply chain really took off from a warehousing standpoint and basically order fulfillment. So with that, a lot of, I'd say, new small businesses started up, and they needed to have a warehousing solution. And so what KSP kind of started to do is really take on kind of those warehousing challenges for some of these smaller businesses that were seeing their business grow because of what the supply and demand cycle was kind of doing to the general population, more ordering online versus people going into stores. So I started with KSP back in July of last year. So I've been there just a little over a year now. And I was originally hired just to do some process documentation to be SOC 2 compliant from an IT standpoint, but also just we want to get ISO certification. And so that's what I was originally hired to do that type of work. Through twists and turns of fate, I ended up taking over the operations of the entire warehouse. And then we hired somebody else on, and then twist of fate happened again, and I got to take it back. So kind of over the past year, I've been in and out of like running the whole operations and then just running kind of what my title is business operations. So today I just really do just HR, finance, IT, and then any process development work and any exploring a new technology. So, quite a full basket.
Well, yes, that is quite a full basket. So yeah, business operations, kind of an all-encompassing phrase.
Yes, it is.
Without anything really specific there. So that's good. And now in that year, you have certainly, so you personally have experienced change just in your job function and things like that. But what kinds of changes have happened to the company over this just over a year time frame?
Well, we launched a new internal warehouse management system. So not only are we growing, but we got new technology. We also moved into a new building. So it's not just having to learn to do new business, but we took 2 smaller warehouse facilities and we've moved into 1 large location. So it's we've got to move a lot of product in. We've got to teach people new technology tools, new software platform, and also I think we've had, over 100% growth in the actual onboarding of the staff itself, plus all of our contract workers in the last year.
So relative idea, what kind of revenue growth have you been experiencing?
In the first 2 years combined, it was 400%.
Wow.
Yeah, so like a very rapidly expanding business. Yes.
And then on the employee side, how much of a percentage change is that?
From an actual KSP employee, that's like, it's over 100%. I think we're about 122% right now. Wow. That's exciting. Really, it is.
Yeah. I mean, at most companies that would take years and years to get
really rapid.
Close to that. Right. So then you put in a new warehouse, you've consolidated those kind of things. So how do you go about planning all of this kind of stuff when things are just happening at such a rapid pace?
So the fun thing is in the kind of the workspace that we're in, fulfillment and warehousing, there's 2 pieces that we sell. We sell time and space. And so take a really kind of from a matrix point of view, you look at time and space in relationship to 3 things: people, process, and technology. And you think about what's going to change. And so you just evaluate those things. It's like, okay, people, how does the change in the people that we have to bring on affect our time? So how do we become more productive with the people that we have? How do we optimize processes? And then space. How do we look at the growth? Do we need more equipment? Do we need more stations? Do we need, more conveyance? Do we need more handheld devices? And whatever that is, as you look to expand people. Then you look at the technology and look at technology related to time, and then look at the technology related to the space. How do you reduce how many steps somebody takes? So in a warehouse environment that's 220,000 square feet, steps make a big difference. Like if I have to walk half the warehouse or just 1 aisle, saves time. So you have to really understand kind of the dichotomy between time and space in relationship to how do we use technology then to make things go faster while not missing quality.
And so then you don't have a lot of time to plan.
No. So we do kind of have a regular kind of rhythm where we discuss kind of our existing clientele and what's happening with them. And then we talk on a regular basis. The vice president of sales and I talk on daily. It's like, what's changing? What kind of new expectations? If it's a new client that we're bringing on, what type of product do they have? What kind of expectations do they have? We do direct to store. We do direct shipping. We do direct consumer shipping. We do FBA prep for Amazon. We do direct to BC. So a lot of EDI type of shipments. So understanding that client as they're coming in, what type of product do they have and where are we sending it once we have to fulfill those orders?
And just to clarify, so you're not one of the last mile type providers, right? You're still just consolidating, or are you doing some of that?
We
last
do a
mile?
little bit. So we do a couple of our clients that we have, it is truly direct to consumer. So it is a Shopify platform where a small business they take in orders, they send those orders to us, and then we fulfill and ship them, using our standard parcel carriers.
Okay. So then, this kind of maybe an awkward question, but so when have you made plans and they haven't worked out quite like you thought they would?
There's been a couple instances, and could be that a client tells us a requirement after we got them integrated and realize like, oh, they have a different a need. So from an API integration standpoint, where we might have to go back and kind of refresh the technology side of things to make sure that orders flow through our systems. We try to do as little manual ordering processing as possible. We want everything to flow through the system. And so there might be something that got missed on the requirements that we have to like kind of tweak and kind of figure out how do we make those orders flow more seamlessly. But we connect to so many different types of platforms. We have like an open API through our system that we can connect to different platforms. But with that, it does create extra kind of IT work. We added a project manager this year, like 3-4 months ago now, that's really helped with that. We have a very small kind of office personnel group, so adding kind of just a project manager to the team has helped a lot on making sure we button up all requirements and things.
And for clarification to a lot of other people, so when you're saying that, you're actually connecting your system to your customer's system. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah. So we are their warehouse. So we had one client that used a very obscure ERP system that wasn't like a standard one. So we had to kind of work through how do we actually get their orders from the ERP system to flow into our warehouse management system. So that took a little extra time just because we needed to make sure that all of that data flows and transforms correctly.
Okay. So so when it comes to employees, you've grown a lot of employees. How do you go about training them, or at least getting them to understand that there's a light at the end of the tunnel? There's things changing so rapidly. How do you get them to feel comfortable with all of the change?
So we kind of developed a standard onboarding process to really understand our business model first. So if you understand the basic premise of time and space and each client, everything is the same, but yet different, right? So people send us goods, we store the goods in racks, and then they ask us to ship them out. It's not that part of it's not complicated. So people can get just through that part of it. Things come in, we store them, and then we ship them out. Now it's teaching them the nuances and then teaching them how to use that technology. So we teach them in their onboarding process how things come into our building. So the receiving process and how we take it in, what the SKU setup, just basic data collection. And then our basic storage, we have, like 5 different types of zones. We teach them, here's the different zones are in the building. And then once they learn that, then we teach them how to fulfill orders. And so we have different types of orders that they fulfill. And so we teach them one at a time. And at that, the model itself is fairly simple.
So then there's a basic structure whenever you bring on any particular client.
Yes.
And then you just have to hopefully just do minor adjustments. Right.
Yeah, if there's like a special need that they have, we have one client that wants a special sticker put on their boxes when we ship them out. We just add that to the requirements of the outbound shipping process. If we have little things like that, we give instructions on, and then we train the fulfillment supervisor. He then in turn trains his team to make sure that they understand that expectation. So we have write-ups on certain clients on outbound shipments, but we try to keep the special instructions to a minimum so everything can flow directly through the system.
So then so then when you have a new client, you essentially do training with a particular batch of employees. Is that
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll have the management team first understand who that client is, what their expectations are, kind of what the agreements are with that client. And then from there, we go out and kind of walk through with the receiving people. So the people that do the receipts to understand kind of what expectations we have, where they're supposed to put them in the warehouse. So if you have something that is, say, a washer for, or like a nut or a screwdriver or some type of tool, it's going to have a different storage solution than, say, a very large snowboard or something, something that is much larger. So each client will have its kind of its own receiving kind of strategy that where we're going to put it to kind of maximize the space that we have in the building while minimizing the cost to the client.
Okay. And then, so now we've talked about this just recently. You've crossed the threshold, or about to cross the threshold of having 50 employees, and now you have a whole new set of employment laws coming in. How are you going about adjusting the way your company operates? I mean, certainly there's going to be management changes in the fact that there's more reporting, there's more forms, there's more things like that. So how are you and KSP dealing with that?
So we have our HR third party. So we are using a third party to do majority of our HR work for us. So they kind of keep me up to speed on what we need to get done or accomplish. So we partner very well with them. I don't have an HR person direct on staff. I'm hoping when I hit 75 employees, I'll put one on staff to be able to kind of do all that work, but that won't take that long. At the rate we're going, that'll be September.
Okay, all right. One of the things that I have told some of the people that listen to this too is that there is a real option with outsourcing, because sometimes it's, yes, there's a cost to that outsourcing, but the cost to do it before you're ready is so much higher. Is that something that makes sense? Is that?
Yeah, no. So we have a lot of our like day-to-day technology, we use a third party. So we outsource kind of our basic IT functions. We outsource our HR, and then we outsource other things as we need them, right? We don't, we try to do like the day-to-day work in-house. We do a lot of temp employees, so we use a lot of third-party, just contracted labor as well. So we're very, very comfortable with using outside resources when there's a need.
Yeah, okay. So then how do you and management work on the strategic plan of this? I mean, because things are changing rapidly, it's kind of hard to say, well, here's the trajectory we thought we had, and now we have a new one. How do you deal with that?
Well, we have our standard like monthly BRM meeting, so we kind of do that.
BRM meeting?
Business review meeting.
Okay.
So we're constantly kind of looking at our current, past, it's like what just happened this last month. And then we talk about what will we need in the future, a little bit in that meeting. But we do have, I would say on a regular basis, just good old brainstorming sessions that are, I would say, drive-bys, the old kind of like, hey, let's get together. We're still small enough that we can be nimble, and we tend to like, hey, let's go walk the warehouse. And then we walk the warehouse, we look at the space, we see what's happening within our own building. And then we're like, okay, you know what? I think we need to get a meeting together. I think we have enough that we need to sit down and strategize on how we're going to solve our next problem.
So this is going to be a little bit different than way back when you were with Best Buy, and you've got quarterly reviews and annual planning and things like that. Yeah, that's a huge difference, I would imagine.
Yeah, no, right now we do have like an investment schedule, and that investment schedule we're constantly looking at and tweaking and trying to understand. It's like, being a small business, you have to like, what's the trade-offs if we choose one versus another solution, or one this month, this is the thing that we're going to invest in because this is the time saving that it's going to give us, or going to increase our productivity, or it helps us like optimize some space within the warehouse. And that is a constant ebbing and flowing, depending on what the need is of the day. If we get awarded a new contract, it's like we relook at the whole warehouse and say, okay, how do we make this happen? When we look more further forward strategic growth, we really look at space. And so we know how much space we have available in our building. We know we need more. And so then what do we do to go and find that more space? And then understanding, where does that space need to be?
So and right now you have how much space?
225,000 square feet here.
Wow. And so you think you need more?
Oh, yes. No, absolutely, yes.
Okay, so that's and as a general trend, I mean, the way people or the way businesses are, this third party fulfillment process that you're the third party.
Yes.
That seems to be a growing segment. Would you say that's fair?
Yeah.
I mean, kind of Amazon was the leader in that, and then now everybody is catching on.
Well, when you think of Amazon, Amazon is a fulfillment center. They're not warehousing. And so you can have a business that you need to have all your overstock. Amazon only wants the amount of inventory that they're going to process over a period of time. So if you have a production facility and you have to go into manufacturing and you're going to manufacture a 6-month supply, Amazon's not going to let you hold 6 months supply in their warehouse. So you need to have that third party like location like us, where that's where the warehousing comes in. We might not be fulfilling direct to your consumers right now. What we are doing is preparing your products to go into Amazon with all the proper packaging sizes and then also the labeling required.
Yeah. And not just for Amazon, just, for other companies.
Yeah, like Amazon, Target, Walmart, all various retailer, same thing is like for small businesses that have production schedules that require them to build a 6-month supply, they need to have a place to house that material.
Yeah. So you started there after the pandemic hit, right?
Correct.
Is that still is there still lasting issues related to that within your business, or everything's kind of still?
I would say right now we're always constantly aware because we do work in the space together. So we just are always conscientious as far as, if somebody's not feeling well, stay home, and let somebody know. From a supply and demand of our services,
supply chain stuff.
Yeah, it is still going strong. Some of our challenges are there's warehousing where we're shipping into might be full. And so we're having to have delayed ship out windows because there's no place for things to go. Or we have delayed product coming in and affecting production schedules that we're supposed to be working on. So there is definitely some supply chain challenges, but it's working through those as kind of a holistic team to understand how to reshuffle and reprioritize to make sure that the staff has the right priorities to work on.
Okay. So I just want to get into just a few last questions. So what kind of advice would you give to other executives who are trying to deal with the same kind of change? I would say that not everybody's going to be in a position of a 400% growth. Yeah. But there are certainly a lot of people that during the pandemic, their business changed in both directions. Some crashed and some expanded and things like that. So it's still the case. And I have this basic philosophy that there's a minor crisis every 2 to 3 years and a major crisis every 8 to 10 years. So something's going to hit somewhere down the line. I mean, we had Y2K and all these other bugs and everything else. So something's going to happen next.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what. But so what kind of advice would you give to executives when when they're trying to deal with rapid change?
My first thing that I would say with all the change we've experienced is always focus on the wins. We have a saying at KSP is we win the day. So understanding what is it that we're going to be proud about today? What are we proud about this week? There's always going to be challenges because there's always something new, something that we didn't, there's unexpected things that can happen. You can build the best plans. So what we started doing is like on Fridays, it's like people talk about what's the thing that you're most proud of that happened this week. And then we learn from each other's successes. Because it'd be so easy to talk about the things that are getting us down or dragging us down into like the weeds and the frustrations. It's like, no, let's talk about the things that we feel really good about, and then learn from the things that we feel really good about. And that's really helped kind of keep the morale up. And that's the part that people are working long hours, long days. They're being stretched beyond what they expected. A lot of times you have to switch hats. 1 minute you have to have one, here's my production supervisor hat. And the next minute you have to like, oh, I need to go hire somebody. And the next minute you have to like, oh, I need to go and do an outbound shipment. Because we are a small company, you wear all the many hats, regardless of what their title is in the building. So I would say, focus on those happy parts. But I'd also, I was fortunate to be a part of professional change management training when I was at Best Buy, and I bring that with me everywhere. And it's really understanding what are my client requirements. It's like not what the client desires are, but really what are the requirements? What do they absolutely need to have? Then I also have to understand what do my employees need. Not what are the nice to haves, but the things that they really need to do their job and be successful and then feel good about what they accomplished for that day. So if I focus on those two things and then build my plans based off of the client requirements and the employee needs, that hopefully will end up the day satisfying kind of the both parties. Because if I can keep my clients happy and my employees happy, at the end of the day, we'll be more successful.
That's perfect. Well, so give me one of your recent wins.
One of my recent wins. We've changed an order picking solution, and they haven't like mutinied on me yet. So so when you do process changes, that's a big deal. We also changed just recently over to a new IS provider. And when you change a third-party provider, people get a little crazy and they're like, oh, it's change. But people are like, oh, we now have chat capabilities. So I can chat with somebody from technology and get my answer right away. I'm like, yes, that was intentional. So you don't have to wait for somebody.
Okay, here's the bad part, but here's a good part. So then maybe get them focusing on the good part.
You get to chat now. You get to chat right with the technology person that can solve your problem. So we've had some really, those to me, from my win standpoint, I would say I got to finish hire paperwork today with an employee. Normally I don't do the hire paperwork, but personally I'm like, yes, we had 2 new hires that had to be processed today, and the person that normally did it just didn't have enough time because he had other responsibilities. So I'm like, I can do it. And so my big win today was I hired somebody. So
excellent. Okay. So and we're talking a lot about change, and that's kind of what I want to get at, obviously, and we've been doing a lot of that. Any other last minute advice that everything you've said has just been fantastic. Any other last minute advice to anyone who has to deal with change?
So I had a very interesting meeting today with a staffing agency. So I work with many different staffing agencies to help us find and procure talent. And they were asking about, why come to KSP and things like that. And I'm like, well, at KSP, we're growing so fast. And when you're in a growth organization, I told them that when you look at it, your only limitation is your own curiosity. So right now, there's so many opportunities for people to develop skill and to increase their opportunity and their career goals because there is so much growth. So when you are in that mode, helping your employee base understand, even our contractor base, understand that really your true limitation right now is your own curiosity. If you are curious, we will teach you, and this is a learning environment that we will create the space for you to grow your skill.
And you've done that your whole career, right?
Yes.
I mean,
That's my motto.
yeah, absolutely. I can't stress that enough for a lot of people, is that the continuous learning, whether it's, just learning for the next job, or just broadening your experience or background, is vital to success. And you've done that. You've gone back to school. You've done lots of training, things like that, right?
I've been fortunate to live in many industries. So while I was at Best Buy, I had the opportunity kind of flex, and Darren Jackson to kind of he used to be one of the CFOs there. And he always talks about your portfolio experiences, much like a marketer has a portfolio. You really focus on what are my portfolio of experiences? What do I have to offer when somebody wants to look at me as a potential employee? And I'm always trying to figure out, what am I missing from my portfolio? What do I need to add? And so I've been fortunate to work in retail. I'm over the road trucking. I had the business transformation office in Walgreens was an amazing experience while I was there. And then the one that you didn't mention was Biblioteca, which was the tech firm. It was a global tech firm, which allowed me to expand my understanding of international business. And so when we met with new challenges to understand, well, how does supply chain work globally, not just in the US? It's an amazing experience that I had. So I've never shied away. And then I encourage either my employees or the people that work indirectly with me to never shy away from an opportunity that expands your knowledge and insight to business.
That's the best advice. And I think that's just the best way to end this. And again, I want to thank you. It's been a great opportunity to know you over these years anyways, but this is a real special opportunity for me to talk with you and get your perspectives on change. And I hope that those that are listening would be, if they can send in some of their questions, maybe I can send those over to you. And if you have an opportunity, because I think change is happening fast, and it's happening faster and faster. So trying to deal with it is always a challenge. So again, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And thanks for the opportunity, Tracy.
You're welcome.
All right. So back live here on our session. I just wanted to provide a few bits of summary of my interview with Tracy Gardiner. So one of the things that we talked about was planning, and in her ability to work with a company that's growing fast. And I think this is a good set of standards, regardless of the kind of company you are. Understanding what your clients' requirements are, and then what do your employees need? Those are the client is the revenue side. The employees are the ones that are getting the work done. So that's an important aspect. And build your plan based on those, trying to understand the requirements from both the client and the employees, and build forward from that. Constantly looking at the immediate past and understanding what happened. She goes through regular business review meetings. And so while they're not necessarily these big, elaborate, multi-year strategic plans, they do have a process where they're reviewing what's going on and where they need to go. The whole idea of walking the warehouse, just being out there, understanding the dynamics, what's going on, and brainstorming sessions. Sometimes it's you just set off a little bit of time, turn your phones off, and just talk about the issues. And as you go through those, they can provide you with insights for the future. Focus on the wins. That was a great piece and a great understanding. And try to focus on what's happened. And we do have a tendency to go negative, and we start digging holes when we start seeing all of these problems. And so when we can focus on the wins, and think about what it is that we're proud about today and this week, it can give us that opportunity to really succeed. And being able to learn from each other's successes is really something that's beneficial, because sometimes when someone has a particular success, they haven't they may not have shared it with everyone else, but this, being able to share successes openly with everyone, it does a couple of things. One, it provides recognition when something goes well, and we always, sometimes we have a hard time recognizing and saying thank you to employees that do a good job. So when we have people talk about their successes and bring that about and bring that out in the open, it does provide a greater opportunity to acknowledge the work that they're doing. The need to be flexible is certainly in her environment. When you have a small business, wearing a number of hats, being flexible and not being stuck in a silo of, well, that's not my job title, I can't do that. Small businesses need people to be flexible and make things happen. For her employees to be successful, they have extensive onboarding programs, getting them familiar with what's happening in the environment, what's happening at the company, giving them the core fundamentals, but then also providing a learning environment. I am an enormously big fan of continuous learning. Expanding your horizons and going beyond what is happens in your day-to-day life. So creating a learning environment to do that, and openly saying that your only limitation is your curiosity. So if you're not curious, then that is going to be your limitation on how far you go and how far you move forward. And I love her statement: never shy away from an opportunity that expands your knowledge and insights to business. I'll go back to a couple of sessions ago when I was talking about David Epstein and his book Range. The idea that expanding your overall knowledge and your horizon of what's happening around the world, to be a very good generalist is has shown to be an indicator of success. Over specialization tends to give you one-stop shopping for answers. We did this last time, we're going to do it again, we're going to do it again after that. Work to build your portfolio of experiences and try and understand what's going on. And maybe that building your portfolio of experiences could be, taking courses or going to trade shows or joining a network group, things like that. Expanding your experience is always worthwhile, and continuous learning. And I'm going to sound like a broken record when it comes to continuous learning, and I'm going to say that is absolutely vital to any person, any company's success, is continuous learning, and having that learning environment exist within the company. That's our session with Tracy. I do have an offer for those that are interested in a 60-minute one-on-one session to help them get unstuck. It's just a process where you answer 3 questions. We schedule a time together and work to create 2 ideas that you can actually use and immediately move forward, break free, and be confident in your next moves. Thank you for attending. This is time for questions. I want to say that next time I have lined up another business friend that I've known for got to be 30 years now. Bill Spohn will be joining us and talking about change with his company, True Tech Tools. And so that'll be taking place in a couple of weeks. And so I would love to be your coach, trainer, consultant, and help you with strategy, marketing, and brand. And at this time, I'll open it up to questions and see if anybody has anything, and we can go from there.